everyone. Thank you for joining from wherever you are joining from different parts of the world. Today, my name is Kamil Shah, and I'm truly grateful and blessed to have with us Celeste Jonson, CEO of Les Brown Global, and also she's an author, a speaker, keynote speaker, and a coach as well. Sorry, can I just before we start, just to make sure that everyone can see and hear us okay? Thumbs up if you're on the screen, or kind of just type yes in the chat box so that we can see that you can hear and see us okay. Yep, thumbs up, thumbs up. Okay, fantastic. So so before we start today's webinar, which is entitled Dare to Succeed Despite the Odds, a Post-COVID-19 Strategy to Win, I just want to give you a quick backstory of how myself and Celeste got in touch with one another. We were just talking about this, reminiscing about this, literally just before everyone joined. This was back in February this year. Celeste, Les Brown, Dr. Uno Brown joined with many other speakers in Dubai, here in Dubai, in the UAE, for a live, at that time, live seminar. None of this webinar thing.
Yeah.
Live seminar called Cha-Ching 3.0 by Najahi Events. And again, we were just saying a week, if the lockdown happened a week earlier, none of this would have happened. For that, we managed to see Celeste, Les, and Dr. Uno Brown back in Feb. And Celeste talks about a lot about imagination, how imagination, if used correctly, can transform your reality. Now, I've been following Celeste's work as well, and she talks about the day-to-day stuff that we are presented with, which is fine, but imagination is where everything lies. You know, the possibility lies in imagination. So again, without further ado, I'm gonna hand it over to Celeste to talk about Dare to Succeed Despite the Odds, a post-COVID-19 strategy to win. So Celeste, over to you.
Thank you. Can you make me host so I can do the
Sure, absolutely.
the visual? Hey everybody, I am so excited to be here with you. I am going to try to give you a visual also. I love talking and sharing, and I know some people are visual learners, and I think that when you can see some things, they say the picture is worth 1,000 words. It really is. And so I'll say less words and let the picture speak as well. But let me see if I can share my screen and we can get moving and grooving on this. Let's see how this works. Da-da-da. Can you all see that? Can I get a thumbs up? Yay! Woo. All right. Let's rock and roll. And I'm going to pay attention and try to make sure I don't get frozen. And so we'll just hope that we make it through this. But I am really, really excited to be here. And thank you very much, Camille, for inviting me. As you said, we had the pleasure of meeting over in Dubai. And I have to just share with you one of my favorite places, my favorite memories. Dubai is beautiful. If you've not been there, you know, you want to put it on your list when we can get out of our cubby holes. Again, it is absolutely fabulous. Obviously, the water is great, and many things about Dubai is great. The people were wonderful. And this mall, the Dubai Mall, Dubai is known for having like the biggest, the best, all of that, right? If you read about it. And this mall is huge. I don't know the dimensions, but it is absolutely mind-boggling. I think it takes days to get through. Is that right? Is that right, Camille?
Yeah, it takes a while.
It's known to be one of the largest malls in the world. And so that was one of my memories. I just thought I'd put that there. But I want to start by congratulating all of you for being here. It's Saturday, you know, not a typical day here, especially in the US, to be working or to be doing things to sharpen your mind. And of course, it's very important that we do those kinds of things. And so it says something about you. You know, there's a phrase that says it's lonely at the top. And it's because most people are not willing to do what it takes to get there. And your choosing to be here says a lot about you. So I say, I applaud you, and I think you should applaud yourself as well, because success does not happen by chance, but it's by choice. Success does not happen by chance, but by choice. We're talking about dare to succeed despite the odds. Well, we all have challenges, and we're going to talk about those today, at least how to get around those or to bust through those. But it doesn't happen by chance. You don't just sit home and hope that it happens. There are things that we can do, and that's what I'm going to share with you today. The first thing that you absolutely have to do, the very first thing, is you have to decide. You have to decide that you want to succeed despite the odds, despite the setbacks, despite the challenges, and all of those we're going to have. And you know what? They call that life. We're going to have those no matter what. You know, you could be the nicest person, the kindest person, really sweet, and you're still going to have some challenges. They just call that life. But once we decide that we really want to get past these things, and we use some of the things that I'm going to suggest today and others. Obviously, I can't cover everything, but I'm going to give you some really great nuggets that I know for sure work. So just be mindful of that and be willing to move forward. And so to get us going, I love to get us started by kind of chiming in. Now, I know I can't see and hear you all, but I want you to actually participate, even in your house. So I'm going to ask you to repeat something. And I know your family members may look at you a little strange, but go with me, okay? So say, I am open to possibilities. Say that, please.
I am open to possibilities.
Say, I am committed to action.
I'm committed to action.
And finally, I dare to succeed despite the odds.
I dare to succeed despite the odds.
Very good. Let me break that down. First, I said be open to possibilities. I love this picture. I love visuals. So when I think about these stairs, and I don't know where that leads to, right? You can go up these stairs and it's somewhere, but you have to be open to the possibilities of the adventure on the other side of that. And so I think we want to do that in our lives. You know, we want to be open to what may be ahead of us or what may happen that we didn't anticipate perhaps. And so the first thing we have to do is to think it's possible. If you don't think something is possible in your life, you won't do what it takes to make it happen. A lot of people wish and hope, but you have to believe and really be open to the possibilities. So I want you to think right now, just for a minute, think of something you'd like to achieve. Anything, business, personal, whatever. Just think of one goal, any goal you want right this moment. All right, now repeat after me and say, it's possible. Come on, say it. One more. Now this time say it like you really mean it. It's possible. It's possible. It's possible. That's the thing. You have to believe it's possible before you will even come up with a plan of action. You know, and the other part that's really important with this is not only that it's possible, but it's possible for me, because sometimes we'll look, oh, that's really great, and I'm so glad they can do it. But you have to believe it's possible for you as well. So that's the first thing that I want you to think about. And then I said, be committed to action. All of the best ideas and suggestions that I provide today, or that you read on your own and discover, or that you already know, do no good if you don't take some action. There is a statement that I'm sure you are probably familiar with that says, knowledge is power. That's a cute statement. But what I believe is more accurate is applied knowledge is power. You can know what to do, but if you don't do it, you don't get the results. So we must be committed to taking some action. Some of the things I will share with you today, I trust will resonate with you. And you say, oh, I can do that. Or, yeah, that's really good. Well, capture that and do something in the next 24 to 48 hours, because I know you've been to workshops and seminars before, and you've heard of great ideas, and you plan to do something, but how many know sometimes you never do it, right? It's like, that was a good idea, but I never got it done. So capture it, even if it's just scheduling it on your calendar, but do something with it. Take some action and make it happen, all right? And then the final thing that I asked you to say was to dare to succeed despite the odds. Now, this is very important because dare is a challenge. It's not just you should succeed. No, I'm daring you to succeed. I'm saying I'm going to give you these things, and don't just look at it. Don't just try it. No, make it happen. It's an urging. It's compelling you to do something no matter what comes. And as we already talked about briefly, they're going to come. Challenges are going to come. So the goal is for you to leave here, this session here, with some ideas, some thoughts, suggestions, things that have the power to transform lives, your life in particular, and that you're able to do it. I'm going to pull from, I will tell you this to give you context on this, the DARE. You may be wondering why I have it written that way. It actually is an acronym. And I know a couple of people here, Susan and Mary, has probably heard me talk about it a little bit. I'm gonna do a twist here today, but it really represents one of my best-selling books called Dare to Succeed, No More Excuses, It's Time to Win. But the DARE is an acronym. The D is discipline, the A is act with clarity and focus, the R is raise the bar, and E is engage. But we're going to do a little twist on that today. So that is where it came from. And the book was written as a result of me running the New York City Marathon twice. I did that a couple of times. And from running a marathon, I don't know if anybody marathon runners in here or anybody thought about running a marathon, but it is an incredible feat, and you learn amazing things. And so I'm taking some of the lessons that I learned from being able to run that 26.2 miles in one day, but they apply to life, the endurance, all of the pieces. There are a lot of things that came from that have taught me a lot of lessons. So I'm going to share some of those, and that just gives you a context from where we're going. All right, here's one of my favorite pictures. This is a very pretty picture. I don't know if any of you know what that is, but it's actually the coronavirus, a picture of the virus. And I call it the world disruptor. Because as we know, all over, it's the first time in our lifetime, I'm pretty sure in all of our lifetimes, that we've had such a thing to be worldwide. It's not just one country or one part of the region. Everybody's been impacted by it. It's nobody could have foreseen this. Nobody could have foreseen not only the global disruption, but also the despair, the sadness, the impact, the vast impact that this virus has had on us. Hundreds of thousands of lives have been lost, and families and friends and loved ones, and the way we function, being stuck in our houses. And I have to just say this one thing to give you another perspective of why this topic is really important to me, and I trust that you will be able to pick up on it. Unfortunately, last year, actually almost a year ago, on the 25th of August, one of my sisters decided to move to heaven. And then 18 days later, my mother decided to join her in heaven. Now, what that did was, as you know, I'm sure any loss of life, and especially people that you treasure, and I love them both dearly, it's just a heaviness. It's very, it's hard. It's just a hard part of the living experience, and it's still hard. But what I know when I think about the impact that it had on me and her friends and family, and back then we were able to have services and we did honors and all that, and now they can't even do that. So what I did, the reason why I talk about this is, I imagine multiplying that by thousands, tens of thousands of people. There's a lot of heaviness out here. There's a lot of sadness out here. And there's a lot of challenges. There are financial challenges. People have lost their jobs. People don't know. So how do you get past all of that? That's why I did the subtitle, The Post-COVID-19 Strategy. So what do? We are in it, but there's some things to help us to raise the bar, get out of that so that we can move forward. That's really where the impetus of this particular session is. And so you can use it in any context. It doesn't have to be the virus. It could be any challenge that you have, but that's the thing that's overwhelming and relevant to all of us. So we see the various odds that are represented. As I mentioned a few of it, it may be work, it could be fear, it could be uncertainty, the panicking, or any of those things that are a result of where we are. Because a lot of people, including myself, you know, as we talk about Camille and I, and any of you that are speakers or that empower people, you know, I lost a lot of business. People aren't doing live events anymore. It's like, okay, so that's revenue. And so here's this motivational, how do I motivate myself? You know, what I have to do, and redesign, refocus, restructure the business. So there's a lot of impact. That's the bottom line. And that's what we want to talk about. But here's what I remember. Here's the good part, because we have the capacity and the ability to change this. Albert Einstein, one of his favorite quotes is, "You cannot solve a problem from the same consciousness that created it. You must learn to see the world anew." So we have to look at what it is, accept it, honor it, feel it, all of that. But then we have to step back and look at the things anew. One of the big advantages that has come from being socially isolated, especially as a single person, it's kind of challenging. You don't have to go outside and look at people instead of the TV. But the thing is, it's given us time. It's given us time that we hadn't had before to do things that we weren't planning to have all this time, or planning to have that time to spend with family and members that are in our household. But we have to change the way we look at what it is. And again, I'm going to dive into that a little bit more. So how do we do that, Celeste? Good point. Well, I've got strategies. That's why I call it strategies. And fundamentally, as we know, by definition, a strategy is simply a method or plan chosen to bring about a desired future. So you're here because you want to learn some things that can help you to succeed more effectively, more efficiently, more fulfilling, all of that. And so we're going to give you a couple of strategies. And here we go. Let's break it down to what it is. The D stands for discipline yourself. The A is act with clarity, focus, and consistency. The R is raise the bar. And the E is engage. Now let me say one other thing. I mentioned that this came from my book. My book has like 12 or 13 different principles, and obviously I can't cover them all. I'm going to give you 4. I'm going to talk about 4 of them today that I think that are most effective, or all of them are effective, but I trust these will be good choices for me. All right, let's go. All right, the first one, discipline yourself. There's a quote I love. It says, discipline is the bridge between goals and accomplishments. We all have goals, and we have accomplishments. The bridge is discipline. Is what do you do consistently? What do you do over and over in order to reach the goal? A lot of people have goals and then they backslide. They start, but then life happens and they go back and they never finish it and never demonstrate discipline in order to achieve the goal. Jim Rohn said that. And then Lou Holtz, which was a famous football coach, Notre Dame, he said, without self-discipline, success is impossible, period. Discipline is really critical. So it's the mark of a champion. What separates people who want to be a champion and those that are is discipline. It's what they do consistently. It's just the fundamental piece that really is essential for us to go forward. Okay, Celeste, well, discipline where? There's various areas to be disciplined. There's mental disciplines, the physical disciplines, spiritual disciplines, financial disciplines, all of those things. If you're not, you can get out of whack really quick if you don't have some structure and discipline to follow. And here's one more thing I'm gonna say about this before going on. Discipline sounds real restrictive, but actually is very freeing. Once you discipline yourself, you allow yourself to do things that you wouldn't ordinarily be able to do had you not disciplined yourself. For example, if you're physically fit, which I won't dive into a lot today, if you're really disciplined about getting your health together, you're physically able to do more things than if you did it. It frees you up to do other things. So it's kind of a paradox there, but it's a wonderful paradox. So let's dive in a little bit more and talk about the one that I love most of all, which is mental discipline. This is key, ladies and gentlemen. It's the mind. The mind is so amazing. The gift we've been given when we were born is like phenomenal. And the challenge with that is that we didn't come with a manual, though, how to maximize our mind. You know, we go to school and we learn some things, and most of it is memorizing things and not necessarily helping you know how to think, how to leverage your brain. And let me tell you, this is one of my favorite topics. I have a whole nother book on it. It's all in your mind. So I'm going to share with you a couple of things that I just love. And if you get this, oh my gosh, it's going to be good. Can you tell I'm excited? It's a good thing. All right, let's move on. Everything begins with the mind. Every single success begins in the mind. Everything starts there. All the things that we see and use came from somebody's imagination, somebody's thought of how it could be created. And so still we underuse it very much like a computer. We use it nominally. We know how to do some things, but we don't know how to use all the power. So what we want to do is to dive in and remember that you become what you think about. I remember Earl Nightingale used to say that all the time. He was a famous speaker and he had this billowing voice. He says, you become what you think about over and over. So you have to be mindful of what you think about. And then the other piece that goes with that, that kind of another way of saying is your thinking determines your destiny. whatever you meditate on and focus on, and all of that is what really becomes a part of your destiny. And so you have to be very mindful of how we program that. So the first thing I want to suggest is strategy number one. And I hope you have an ink pen, write some of this down. If you don't, take some notes. Writing is a very powerful tool to help you think. Very good. I see you lifting it. That's awesome. Watch your mental diet. Feed on stories of possibilities, other people's possibilities and yours. Watch your mental diet. Challenge your mind, stretch it, open it, use it, protect it, feed it with possibilities. Instead of, you want to focus on what you want. So here, I think it's really important for you to know there are stories all around you of people who have overcome incredible challenges. Read them, listen to them, absorb them, because what that does, it gives you hope. It says, oh, if they can do it, I can do it. So let's take a look at a few people. There's this woman named Wilma Rudolph. Some of you may know her, some may not. Years ago, she is someone that was an African-American track star who suffered from scarlet fever. She had whooping cough, she had the measles, and she had to wear a brace on her leg until she was 9 years old. She could barely walk. She went on to win 3 Olympic gold medals. How do you go from not walking? How do you go from wearing a brace? How do you go from that point to winning 3 gold medals, at the Olympics? And she was considered in her day as the fastest woman in the world. Wilma Rudolph dared to succeed despite the odds. That's a story I love looking at. Colonel Sanders, some of you may remember him. He's around. I don't necessarily suggest his food, but okay. But the story is amazing. This man, he didn't really get famous until he was like in his 60s. He didn't even start until he was in his 60s. Early on at age 13, he left school. He just stumbled through life. His wife left him, his wife left him, his son died. At one point, he found himself living in his car. And he tried here and there to start a restaurant. It just didn't work. Well, in his 60s, he decided later on to try to start going around. He knew he could cook. He could do chicken. So he started going to different restaurants and seeing if they would sell them. And most people said no, but eventually he was able to capture that and get that done. And he became a billionaire at 88. You all hear me on that? There is never too late. So wherever you are in your life, it's not too late. I'm still saying I'm looking for my millions. I don't know if I'm going to work that hard for billions, but I'm open to the millions. So that's just, he dared to succeed despite the odds. And no matter what his age was. Here's one more. Some man that you might be familiar with, Mr. Les Brown. Les Brown. How many of you know Les Brown? Anybody ever heard of him before? Oh my God, some people shaking your head. No, you got to know this man. He's amazing. He is the person that Camille mentioned that we met. We came over to Dubai. He's a phenomenal speaker and has been around for quite some while. I've worked with him for decades, actually, and most recently his COO. But he has a story. His brief story is that he was adopted. He has a twin brother, and his twin brother and Wes and himself were born and found in an abandoned building on the floor. His birth mother, gave them, the twins, up to his mother, the mother that raised him, which was Mamie Brown. And she was really, it's interesting. She was a single woman and she didn't have much of anything. They struggled. And she adopted 7 kids. And she just had heart. She had love, abundant love. And so he used to be kind of a rabble rouser. He used to cause trouble. And, they called him educable, mentally retarded, and all of that. He just failed in his classes and what have you. But he moved from those challenging times, which was really crazy. You need to hear his story, all the way to having his own nationally syndicated television show. He's done radio shows, national syndicated radio shows across the country. We go to Dubai, we go all over the world. People call him, they pay him a whole lot of money just to come and talk to him. It's just quite an amazing thing. He's an incredible orator and an incredible person. He dared to succeed despite the odds. And I just, there's story after story. This is just a sneak picture I put in here when we were in Dubai. This picture actually came when we were in Dubai. He has just taken what was given to him and he had this something, which is I'm hoping to share some of that something with you in the preceding time. But the takeaway from this, whatever our souls are made of, his, mine, yours, it's all the same. You have the same capacity. You do. You just have to believe that. And then we have to tap into it. And that's what we're going to do right now. So the next strategy number 2, is we want to cultivate a success mindset, a growth mindset. Cultivate a success mindset. Oh my gosh. Okay, here we go. My favorite part. I'm gonna spend most of my time on this, and I'll wrap it up after this. But a mindset. A mindset is about an established way of thinking, an opinion, a mental inclination. What is yours? Some of us have empowering mindsets, and some of us have limited mindsets, limiting beliefs, limiting ideas that are keeping us from maximizing what we want to do. So how do we do this? We want to have a growth mindset. There's 2 different kinds of mindsets. Let me show you. There's a growth mindset and there's a fixed mindset. Now, a growth mindset is where the success mindset rests. That's when you have people, now I know you probably have heard these. A growth mindset is someone that says, I don't know how to do it, but I will figure it out. Challenges, they help me grow. I learn from this. I can do anything I need to do if I put my mind to it. That's a growth mindset. I like to try new things. Failure is just an opportunity to grow. All of this crazy stuff that's happening with the virus, that's happening as repercussions, I'm saying we shift to a growth mindset and say, okay, so what do I do with this? How do I hone my skills? How do I tweak what I'm doing? How do I shift the way I look at the circumstances? Yes, I have to be in the house. I'm not really crazy about it. But now that I'm in my house, I can clean out that closet that I've been talking about getting to and hadn't gotten to yet, right? Yes, I would rather be out running around on the beach, but now I can finish the book that I've been talking about writing, or whatever it might be. It's the growth mindset. How do you make it work for you? A lot of industries are growing from this scenario, right? Because what do people need that maybe I can provide? What gifts and talents and assessment can I do for myself? So that's the growth mindset versus the fixed one. Man, this is just crazy. We'll never get out of this. I'm just frustrated. You know, I've lost my job. I don't know what I'm able to do. I'm, working all my life, on and on down that path. That's an option. That's a choice. And I said in the beginning, you have to decide which way you want to go. And I'm encouraging you and really pulling for you to choose to do the growth mindset. Now, let me give you another tip that goes with that. How do you do that? Strategy number 3, understand and leverage your mental blueprint. This is one of my favorite parts. Okay. I'm just a little crazy if y'all don't know this already. I think you need to love what you do. That's really important too. And I happen to love it. Even if I'm tired, it's like, okay, here we go. Understand and leverage your mental blueprint. This is phenomenal. We all have a mental blueprint. And I mentioned already, we don't come when we were born, we don't get a little book that says, okay, this is how you develop your mind. It is not normally how we go. Some people do a little bit. But here we go. Let's talk about the mental blueprint. Look at these boxes. If you're taking notes, make these boxes. You don't have to color them in. Just make boxes if you're doing this. 4 boxes on the top and 1 underneath the first 2 boxes. 4 boxes across the top and 1 underneath the first 2 boxes. And in the first box on the left, write the word thoughts. Thoughts. In the second box, write the word beliefs. Third box, write the word actions. In the fourth box, write the word results. And the final box underneath, write emotions. Thoughts, beliefs, actions, results, emotions. Okay, so here's what happens. When we want different results, whatever it is, we choose and we say, okay, we've got to do something different because you can't keep doing the same thing the same way and expect a different outcome. So we've got to change our actions. Everybody agree? That's what we typically do. The best analogy for this, to explain this, that everybody can relate to is around the end of the year or the beginning of the year when we have these New Year's resolutions, right? People are saying, okay, this year I'm going to lose weight, or this year I'm going to stop smoking, or this year, whatever that is. They make the resolution and they really believe it. We really believe it at that time. We want a different result than we have been getting before. So we know we have to do something different. So one of the things that's universal, it seems, at least by many people, is losing weight. I just use that as an example. It can apply to anything. But a lot of people can say that this year I want to lose weight. So what do? buy the exercise clothes, or we join a gym or whatever, and we really intend to make that happen. And we do for the first few weeks and maybe the first month or so, we're in there and et cetera, right? But what happens? I bet you know what happens typically to a lot of people. Shortly thereafter, life happens, a crisis comes, and they revert back to the old behavior. Is that true? Raise your hand if you know that's true. Type in there in the chat box, yes, I understand. Yes, that's me, or I've seen it before, right? So here's the problem. We're talking about the blueprint, mental blueprint. What I want to do is show you how you can start being successful relatively effortless. I love this part. Listen, okay. So it's about the mental blueprint. So if you look now, I put a box around the thoughts, beliefs, and emotions, because this is where we need to start, not at the actions. We need to go back to this box, which we call the mental blueprint, which is where your habits live. That's where your subconscious is. Think about this for a minute. When you talk about a habit, right? By definition, a habit is something that you do without thinking about it much. Is that correct? Right? You just kind of do it, because it's habitual. You can drive to work, so you go back and forth to work or to church or wherever you go. And sometimes you don't even think about the drive. You're kind of doing it automatic because you've done it so many times. I don't know if that's ever happened to you, when you find yourself there and it's like, oh my gosh, and you weren't consciously thinking about it. You just done it. Or something even simpler, in the morning, if you brush your teeth, you don't think about the process. I have to pull out the brush or pull out the toothpaste. You don't think about it. You just do it because it's a habit. It just becomes relatively effortless. Well, what if, this is a great question, what if we can establish behaviors that are proven behaviors that yield success, and they become our habits? Then success becomes relatively effortless. You all follow me on that? If the behaviors, and they're proven, you can research it yourself, and I've done it over and over. There's certain things that if you do consistently, over and over, the most successful people do it all the time. Those behaviors, if they become your habits, then success becomes relatively effortless. It doesn't mean you have to do something, but you have to establish that. So you really are reprogramming your mind. You are disciplining your mind to position yourself for what it is you want to do. Does this make sense to you all? Think about it. It's a powerful piece. So it's not just the actions. The actions can help, but you need to change the thoughts. What do you believe? I mean, there's a whole, again, I can't go into detail. I'm doing a program, and I actually help people dive in. What do you believe? Really assessing that. Some things you believe that are really good, and they're helping you get where you want to go. And there's other ones that are limiting you, and you're sabotaging yourself. But if you never assess that, you don't know. So part of the process is working over here in the mental blueprint area. I'm giving you a highlight, and I know this is kind of a tease, but diving in this area and assessing where you are can make a huge difference in you being able to get past any obstacle. Y'all like this? Is this good? This is one of my favorite things. I'm telling you, I could go into more details, but I'm giving you highlights. We can talk more later because I only have so much time, and I know I'm moving past. All right, let's go to the next one. So discipline your mind was the first one. The A stands for act with clarity and focus. Can you repeat that and say, act with clarity and focus? Act with clarity and focus. Very good. Hey, Susan. All right, let me talk about that. Act with clarity. The clearer you are of anything, ladies and gentlemen, the increased likelihood you will achieve it. The clearer you are of anything, the increased likelihood that you will achieve it. Clarity is extraordinarily powerful. It is essential for you to optimize your success. To become successful, you must be a person of action, but not just indiscriminate action. It needs to be clear and focused action. You can do a lot. I know this. I've had to learn this myself. You can do a lot of activities, but if you're not doing the right activities, you're just doing a lot of activities and you're still in the same place. You're like on a treadmill. You can run on a treadmill and go nowhere. So you have to be very clear and very focused on the actions you take. So the A is for act, but not indiscriminate. Act with clarity and focus. So then the next question is remembering the clearer you are of anything, the increased likelihood you will achieve it. That's a powerful statement. I'm gonna stop right there. The clearer you are of anything, the increased likelihood you will achieve it. Clarity gives you propelling power. When you can see it, when you can see, and I'm gonna break this down. Let me go to the next slide. I think I break it down a little bit more so you can see. I love this book. I drew this picture because the book represents to me knowledge. You know, you can have the plan of action. You can have all of the information you need. It could be right there in your hand. You can have it nearby. But if you can't read it, if you can't see it and get the information from it, there's no power. You can have it, but if you can't clearly articulate and extract it, then you don't have the power. That's what the picture said to me when I saw it. And I think, you know, so the idea is, what do we need to be clear on? Clear of what? Become crystal clear of your desired outcomes and at least one path to get there. Be clear, crystal clear of your desired outcomes and at least one path to get there. Now let me say that the outcome, the desired outcome. No one can help you. I'm a coach, right? And people come to me and they want me to help them to achieve certain things, whatever typically is achieving something professional, something personal, that's great. So one of the very first questions I ask is, what do you want? And that's a very basic question, but you know, the majority of people, I am not kidding, cannot articulate, definitely not succinctly, what they want. They can tell you what they don't want, but they very rarely can tell me what they want. They'll start talking about, I don't want this job, I don't want this. Okay, so what do you want? What is that? If you cannot articulate it, how can anyone help you, including yourself? You know, it must become clear, what's the vision for you? And you can change it, it's yours, but you have to come up with some clarity on that, because that's what's going to help you propel. Like, I'll give you an example. When I was running the marathon, again, a lot of stories came from that. It was just amazing. And I was not a runner. I was not a runner. I was not like, I didn't run before. I used to go to work out and exercise, but that's not the same. Endurance running and we're running and working on it in a gym. It's not the same. It doesn't pull on the same thing. So anyway, but I wanted to do it for various reasons, but I needed to shift and I need to be clear what it was. So the year before, I was working with Les at that time. We were in New York and I went to the marathon that year before. And I just thought I'd go see what it looks like and see what the energy is like. So I went literally for clarity to see, and I was around mile 16 and I saw people running and there was friends on the side saying, go Joe, go. And so I imagined, go Celeste, go. Okay, so sometimes you put yourself in the situation of what it is you want. Be around the people that are doing what you want. You know, birds of a feather flock together. What do you want? What's the environment? Let's try to see it in your mind's eye. And I also saw the end of the race in my mind. I said, okay, when I run this race, I didn't want to fall out like many people do. I wanted to be strong. I'd be tired, but I wanted to be strong. And I figured I'd treat myself to a nice suite at the hotel that was right there in Central Park, which is where it ends. And so I saw this and I said, I'll have a nice jacuzzi tub there and I'll have the lights down low and jazz music playing and my masseuse waiting for me, Jacques, right? Okay. I had this whole vision of what I wanted as a result of running this race. And I'm not kidding, it propelled me to make reservations in the hotel 7 months in advance. Why? Because first of all, the hotels book up around marathon time, but I knew that's what I wanted. And so I was able to take action toward it. Become clear of your desired outcome and at least one path. I say at least one, because remember, we want to be open, but be flexible on what options may be available, because you never know. Remember, open to possibilities. You may have a plan and you should have a plan. But don't be locked into that plan only, because a better idea may come along. You weigh it and then make adjustments. Does that make sense? Everybody with me? All right, let's move on. This is good. Okay, so this is one of my favorite quotes by Brian Tracy. He says, be clear where you want to go, but flexible on how you get there. Love it, love it, love it. Clear where you want to go. You need the clarity, but flexible on how you get there. You just never know. It's, you know, another example is like high rises. I love New York, or any place where you walk down the street and you have these high rises on each side of you, and you can only see so much from that vantage point, right? You see what's in front of you, you can see the building. But once you get to a corner and you keep walking and you get to a corner, a whole nother street opens up. You see things you never saw before. So you made decisions while you were here, but when you get here, you say, oh, that might be a better option. You're still clear where you want to go, but being open to those flexible options that may come is just incredible. It's a wonderful thing. It makes life interesting as well. All right, let me move on. I said about being clear, but you also want to be focused. I know hopefully I'm moving along fast enough and not too fast. I have the ability to speak rapidly, but I trust you're getting it. All right. So focus. I talk about being focused. I love this one. It's another one of my things. Focus on what you want, not on what you don't want. Really simple, really powerful. Focus on what you want, not what you don't want. And I said it kind of ties into what I said before about being clear of where you want to go. You know, first, once you become clear of it, then you need to focus on it. Clarity is one thing, and it's wonderful to be clear, but you can have your clear plan over here and focus on something else. You can have the clarity. They're not necessarily connected. They should be. Be clear and focused on what you want. The power of focus is breakthrough power. The analogy I use all the time for that is, I think about the sun, the beautiful sun, which I love the sun, but it's a very powerful energy source. And if it was not diffused by so many miles, millions of miles away, and going through the ozone, all that, we couldn't stand being out in it. And even today, we still put protection on there because of the power of the sun. But a laser beam, in comparison to the power of the sun, is very weak. However, a laser is very focused and it can break through things. It's just very focused. We take, and even if you go out in the sun and you get a magnifying glass to try to harness the rays, then it breaks through it. It can start fires. It's harnessing the rays. It gives you breakthrough power. So focus. The key is, and again, this is me. I talk to myself. I read my own material because I have so many projects going on and say, Celeste, take these things off. You have to focus on this one thing, breakthrough, get some results, and then continue to the next one. There's power in clarity and focus. I'm hoping you get this. So whatever you want, once you've identified it, then decide to focus on it, all right? And you can do segments. Maybe, I know we all juggle many things. We have different parts of our lives, but even in an hour or half an hour or half a day, focus on one thing and try to get that broken through and then move to the other. Because if you keep doing many things, you'll end up a month later and haven't gotten anything accomplished, okay? That's a whole nother class. I talk about execution, which is just mind-boggling, but if you just take this nugget, I think it'll help you. Okay, so focus on optimal success. That's what you want to focus. Now we're moving on to the R. Got to keep moving. Our time is moving. I hope you're finding this valuable. The raise the bar, one of my favorites also. Let me tell you, I'm going to sidebar on this. You know, I say every time, I keep saying, this is one of my favorites. Well, this book is actually a compilation of my favorites. That's the thing, right? I took the best of my favorites. You know, I've been speaking for really a long time, 20-something years. And at the end of it, I say, okay, what was the biggest takeaway for me, Celeste? What was most powerful? And I took the key things that I say over and over. If you only hear one of these and you do one of these, they can change your life. Seriously, change the trajectory of the path you're on and ultimately the results. And so this is a compilation of a lot of those. That's what I love about it. So raise the bar. Raise the bar on what, Celeste? That's a good question. First one I'm going to say is expectations. Raise the bar on expectations. When you expect something, if you believe something to the point of expectation, your behavior will change. Let me say that again. When you believe something to the point of expectation, not just wanting it, but you expect it, your behavior changes. Great example. When someone is expecting a child, you make plans for that child. You create the room, because you're expecting the child to come. Most people, I don't know if this is true for everyone, but when you expect guests to come to your house, you usually kind of clean up and organize because you want it to look presentable because you're expecting guests. You do those things because you're expecting that. I am still expecting Mr. Calgun to come and take me away, right? Tall, dark, and handsome. I'm open to possibilities. Okay, if you have suggestions. Okay, sidebar. But whatever you expect, but you have to make room for it. And a real note on that, because I was thinking, we were talking about this with a friend of mine. If I'm always working and always gone and never make time for relationships, that will never happen. You have to expect whatever you want. You have to raise that bar on expectation and expect it to happen, and therefore prepare for it. That's the key. it comes to expectations on that. So I expect you to do that, and ask yourself, great question, what do I need to do in preparation of receiving what I desire and expect? That's a good question. What do you need to do in preparation of receiving what I desire and expect? Let me give you a practical example, a real one for me right now. I'm launching a new membership site. I'll tell you a little bit more about that at the very end. I'm so excited about it. And I'm expecting it to grow because I believe it's God-given, actually. I believe, I was kind of fighting it, but I believe it's something that I'm really supposed to do. And I believe it's going to help a lot of people, not just a little. Well, if I believe and expect, this is going to the point I'm making, I expect to reach a lot of people, and it may happen fast, then my behavior, what I need to do in preparation is to put systems in place that can manage a lot. If I was only going to manage 1 or 2 people, that doesn't take a lot of preparation. But if I expect, which I do, that it will grow because I'm blessed to have great contacts and I think it's a great idea, then I need to prepare for that to work. Does that make sense, you all? So looking for, what do you expect? What do I need to do? Who do I need to become? How do I, if I want to, anyway, you get the point. I could go on, but doing the things that are necessary, and get in the mindset, act like it's there. I mean, what would you do? How would you look? How would you dress? You know, I could have put on my little outfit today. I like this. I love this dress. I feel great in this dress. I could have worn anything actually with you all, but I expected it to be professional and fun, and I felt I would feel good. So I put on what would help me to feel that way. So you do things that put you in that position, right? All of us have a favorite outfit. You know, we really want to feel good that day. You put it on. So that's just an idea. It's a wonderful idea, by the way. Of course, I'm prejudiced. Raise the bar on, I said that was on expectation. I'm gonna give you one more on here, and then we're gonna wrap this up. Raise the bar on endurance. This is especially true when we're talking about challenges and issues. You know, we've got to get past the sadness. We have to get past the weight of what's been happening, the fact that we don't know. There's still a lot of uncertainty, and especially here in the United States, it's just kind of really interesting. And we've got elections coming up, and every part of the world has different dynamics that are going on, and it's just like, so we have to raise the bar on endurance. How do you press past that? You've got to press past it. You can't get stuck in it. And so one of my favorite experiences is to push past the wall. Push past the wall, and remember, it's not over until I win. It's not over until I win. And I'll just share this one more story with you because I think it makes the point. It's real, and it's real cute as a story, but it actually is real. And you have to apply it for yourself. But when back in the marathon, around mile 20, I had a cramp in my left leg. And I hadn't had any cramps all along the way. And you know, we may try something new and our bodies remind us that we're not 20 anymore. But anyway, I had a cramp in my left leg, and I just knew I couldn't focus on the cramp, because whatever you focus on, remember, gets bigger. We want to focus on what we want. We don't want the cramp, so I couldn't focus on the cramp. So I had to shift my mind. I had to discipline my mind and shift to something else. And so that particular year, I ran the marathon twice. This is the first time. And that particular year, it rained, it stormed throughout the whole race. It was like crazy. We were just wet, just running. But I shifted from focusing on the cramp, consciously shift to thinking about the rain. I thought about my music. I had my headphones in, which you can do in New York. Some places don't let you. So I was focusing on the music. And then I remembered, as a speaker, I was just really launching my speaking career. And I said, I don't have a rags to riches story. I don't have an overcome any major obstacles. I don't have like that, you know, make people cry kind of story. I didn't have that. But I figured if I ran and finished this race, at least I'd have something to talk about. And I do, right? So I thought, okay, I've got to finish this race. So I was thinking that way. And I'm not kidding. The pain went away right into my right leg. It did. It's like, oh no, I've got to do this all over again. And I remember at that time, this poem that I had written about a year before the race. It was called It's Not Over Till I Win. And so I started talking to myself. And we know that sometimes talking to yourself is the only time intelligent conversation takes place, right? So I was talking to myself, and the point went like this. It says, when current results are different than what I thought when I began, I must not quit, but keep repeating, it's not over till I win. When problems and changes are all around me and I can't seem to find a friend, I must say to myself once more, it's not over till I win. It's not over. No, not over. I must know this deep within, in my mind, my heart, and my spirit. It's not over till I win. I will never give up. I will never give in. I will never give out. It's not over till I win. Say it every morning, through good, through bad, through thick and thin. Every day I say with conviction, say it with me here, it's not over until I win. And so I was able to go across the finish line 5 hours, 11 minutes, and 51 seconds later, right? But the thing is, you hit a wall. In our lives, we're going to hit walls. We're in a wall. I mean, it's a big, massive one. And it's been a challenge, but we just have to press forward, shift our thinking, discipline our mind, do the things, be very clear and focused where we want to go, and persist until you succeed. You can do this. We can do this. We have the capacity to do it. Do we have the drive to do it? And I'm suggesting that you push past whatever wall, whatever obstacle you have, because you can. All right, I'm gonna wrap this up now. To my last nugget I'm gonna give you is engage. And again, there's various things I usually talk about, but I'm gonna take just one. And this will be my last one, engage with people. I usually talk people, purpose, and passion, but let's talk about people. Everything is based on people. I mean, we're relational beings. We can't survive by ourselves. We don't want to survive by ourselves. Why do you say, when you're successful, you want to share it with people? As you're on the process, you do it with people. We get encouraged and loved by people, and we love on people. And so relationships are really critical, and we need to be very intentional. There's some relationships we don't choose. They kind of come with the package family, but then there's others we do choose. And even those that we didn't choose, we can make adjustments on those. Some people feel like they're stuck. That's not true, I don't think. But I think the important thing I want to share with you is that we want to think about the welfare of others at least as much as you think about your own. It's important to take care of yourself first. Self-preservation is the first law of nature. This is what my mom used to say all the time. But we also need to think of other people as well. And there's something in that. And that leads me to my final strategy that I'm going to share with you. And it's a personal strategy, and you can adapt it in your own way. But I say become a hope ambassador. The HOPE is another acronym which I love. It's helping others prosper and excel. I've been doing hope notes for a long time. I send out notes to people, and that's where the hope comes from. And the hope ambassador is tied to this project I'm working on. And I'm going to tell you about the project, and you're welcome to join me. I'd invite you to join me. But even if you can't or don't want to do something like this, I think will totally contribute to you. I am starting a program called 100,000 Voices of Hope in Action. 100,000 Voices of Hope in Action. And let me just share with you where that came from very briefly. And I'm going to wrap this up. Camille, am I okay? I know I'm kind of running out of time. Do I have a few more minutes? Okay. I hope you all can stick with me just a few more minutes and I'm done. I came up with this on May 27th of this year. I remember the date specifically because that was the day in the United States we passed the 100,000 mark of people's lives that were lost to COVID. And it just hit me. I knew that people were passing, and I was aware things were happening, but that day, for some reason, that just hit me. It's like 100,000 people. History, wisdom, their knowledge, all that they bring to the table, brought to the table, and their family and the love, gone. And it was done in less than 90 days. It was like, it just hit me. And I thought that day, I was sitting there and said, and again, I imagined my own pain being multiplied 100,000 times, like, oh my gosh, what can I do? And as my gift, my spiritual gift is that of encouragement, which is why I love what I do day to day. I said, what if we can never replace them. They're irreplaceable. We honor them. We must do that. But what if we can bring in 100,000 voices of hope to counter that, to counterbalance, to counterweight the heaviness of that? What if we can get the messages going out to people to inspire them, to lift them up? So that's the impetus of this program. It's a membership. And I'm helping to develop leaders. I particularly lean toward women. I know men are wonderful. We love you, and we like certainly they can be involved. But it's geared toward the women are the nurturers. We are the ones that are out there that really make a difference. And no one has ever become poor by giving. And I suggest we give hope. And so the idea is to start radiating. So I find 10 people and I can find 10 people and they find 10 people, and we can just radiate like a ripple effect that people are inspired, that you send a note to them and say, I see you, I hear you, I love you, I appreciate you. It makes a difference. And so anyway, it's a long story. If you're interested, you can send me a note and I will give you the details of it. But that's what I'm going to be doing, and I'm excited. Les and I are going to be launching that tomorrow, and we're going to do a recording today. And if you're interested in knowing more, I'm going to send you my website. You can just send me a note and say, just send me more information, because I know people all over, and I'm hoping Camille will, and others that I've met in Dubai, and I've traveled all over, that the whole world needs hope. We need hope. And so how can we be instruments of that and using our own gifts and our own uniquenesses? So anyway, I'm gonna give you a free bonus though, something I wanna give you. This doesn't cost you anything. This is my website. This is what it looks like. It's CelesteJonson.com, which I didn't put on the screen. Shame on me, but it's my name, Celeste Jonson, JONSON.com. CelesteJonson.com, CelesteJonson.com. If you go there, this is the cover of my page. And on the left side, there is, you'll see Operation Clean Slate. That's a free ebook that you can have, that I would love for you to have. And it actually, remember I talked about you need to understand who you are and what your gifts are and what you can do and how you can offer something to the world, and that will help you to become very clear where you want to go. Free download if you'd like to have it. It's very powerful. I do dive into it a lot more, but you can take that and use it. It's very good. So, and if you go there and you want to know more information about the 100,000 Voices of Hope, just on the website, you can either leave a comment or in your note when you get the free ebook, send me a comment and I will make sure you know that. So that's basically it, ladies and gentlemen. Let me wrap this up and just say, remind you that the D stands for discipline yourself. And we talked about the mind. You know, you can always do the other areas as well, but we talked about doing that and really honing in on your mental blueprint, work on your thoughts and your beliefs and those things that are going to help you to be successful, relatively effortless, act with clarity and focus, you got to take action, but not indiscriminate action. Be very clear and very focused on what it is that's going to help you get where you want to go. Raise the bars, especially on expectations. What do you expect to happen will make a difference, and on endurance, pressing past that wall is going to help you to be there. And then engage with people. Make sure you're reaching out. I know we can't hug and be around as much because we've got resistance, but we can show people we love them. We can send cards, or we can call, or we can do different things, and people need that. And there's a lot of people hurting. So just a call, just someone calling me. One lady sent me on my birthday. She left. She couldn't come in, but she left me a plant. I was just like cried. I literally cried. It was just that little thing, that little gesture that we all could use that could boost up the world. This is my book. If you want, ask about that. I'm updating those. They're awesome. I have 8 books, but the Dare to Succeed, it actually dives in a little bit further. If you're interested in that, leave me a note on that as well. But the last note, do not judge me by my success. Judge me by how many times I fell down and got back up again. And these are my contact information. Yeah, if you want my website, email me. However I can help you, I am positioned and desire to make an impact on as many people as I can. This is my legacy as I see it, is pouring into the lives of others. And if they can, become a light themselves and light others, it's a ripple effect, then I've done my job. So I thank you. I'm going to wrap up now. Go back to you, Camille. I'm going to give you back control of this and go from there. And I'll answer any questions that you have. If you want to stay there, we can do that. See if I can get out of here. Give you back hold on. I'm trying to get to where I need to go, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you so much, Celeste.
Thank you.
Absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. Thank you so much. I think I'm completely kind of just overwhelmed by the knowledge that you've just shared with us, especially the experience with the marathon, how something simple, and I think everyone has a personal story or personal struggle, but it's using that to an advantage. And I think
Yes.
that's a key takeaway from me from what you've mentioned in the last hour or so. That's just absolutely brilliant. Because I know there are people here right now that have literally just gone through some challenging times, literally in the last few days, personal friends of mine. So I've encouraged them to join, and I'm truly grateful that they've taken the opportunity to come and hear you, because that will make a profound impact on people listening today.
Thank you. And I'm open if anybody have any questions. I don't know if we have the time, but if you want to ask one or two.
We have the time. Again, any specific questions you want to kind of ask Celeste, now's the time, because it's absolutely valuable time for, I'm thank you again for Celeste for coming and presenting today.
Oh, and thank you. I thank you for your comments, and these are so sweet, you guys. Thank you. These hearts, I got hearts.
We've got many people. We've got people from Dubai, from all over the place, and I think that's something that's amazing. That's what's happened in the last few months. That we're more connected. We realize we're much more connected now than ever.
Yes, that is true.
Right?
That is true. And we just have to get used to this new normal, at least for now. I bet as soon as we are able to get out of these quarantines or whatever, we're going to be flying all over trying to hug everyone. But in the meantime, this is really good. Thank you for your comments I see here. Yeah.
So let's just to kind of get the I have a personal question for myself, actually.
Okay.
If you don't mind me asking.
No.
I know for me, the struggle has always been trying to maintain consistency. I struggle with this. I'd start something and I get excited, but the consistency gets, kind of gets dumbed down after a few days, a few weeks. From your experience, how do you maintain consistency in what you do? If you want to change habits, for example.
Right. One of the best ways is very, very simple, is old school. And that is, I write it down. Like, for example, when I ran the marathon, and that's an example, but it applies in my business. I took the whole schedule. It was a 5-month schedule, and I wrote it all on my calendar. So every day I knew what I needed to do. So it was in my face. It wasn't in my head. It was something I looked at every day. There's one of my favorite books. I have lots of favorite books, but one of them is, oh gosh, I could see it, but the title just went away from me for a moment. But it compiled what we all know is having a morning ritual, or whatever time of the day that works for you. Writing them down. I create a check sheet in my date book. So I see it every day until it becomes a habit. So even if I choose not to do it that day, it's in my head I'm supposed to do it that day. Does that make sense? So if I don't, and it becomes my own personal accountability component. Now you can get accountability partners, which is another way to help you to stay on point, to be consistent. Somebody's going to call you, hey, Camille, did you do that today? Or just looking at it. But I actually have a check sheet, to have quiet time, do my exercise, drink this, 8 glasses or the water, however half your body weight in water. All of that is on a check sheet, a daily check sheet, until they become second nature. And when I don't do it then I feel like I've fallen short, then I get back on. Does that make sense? Just a really simple, that's old school, but it really helps. I use my phone. I have time. I have, like, for example, when I was doing, and I'm getting ready to go back to this, I was doing a juice cleanse. There's this movie that is Juice Me, is really cool. They did 28 days. I haven't done 28 days, but I put the reminders in my phone throughout the day, and it goes off and it says, okay, drink the water. Okay, do this, until it becomes second nature. So that's how it helps me to stay consistent. That's what I do.
I think that's brilliant, because now that's useful, actually, because like you say, it's old school, but it actually works.
It does.
So I think, just getting into the habit of writing things down and making sure that we are actually doing it. And like you say, up to a point where it becomes second nature. And if you miss it, you feel something's off. You should be doing something. You should be doing it.
Yes.
So it's just maintaining that habit of doing it until it becomes consistent. So thank you so much for that, Celeste. That's brilliant. Something that I've got my notebook here, so I'll start doing that now.
I'm going to ask a favor. I just was looking at a comment over here, and your comments are wonderful, and I thank you. Only if you're comfortable, for whoever's on the call, I would love, I'm redoing my marketing materials. If you really, and I see some of the people say they enjoyed it or whatever, if you're willing to just put your first initial last name and tell me like a quote or something I can use, or tell me it's okay, I can use your comment, that would be so helpful. I mean, if you don't mind doing that, if you indeed enjoyed it, don't stress if you didn't. But I see some really great comments. And if you don't mind just saying, hey, whatever, a sentence, that was super fantastic or something like that. Or it helps me in some way, and leave a comment, that would be great, and I'll extract it. And guess what? Here's another lesson. I'm gonna stop, Camille, I promise. You have to ask for what you want. Ask for what you want. A lot of people think that it's just going to happen by osmosis. Or the old school, they used to say, if I work really hard and keep my head to the grind, they'll see me and they'll give me a promotion. Maybe not. It doesn't mean you have to do it nicely, kindly, respectfully, and all that, but ask for what you want. What do you lose? You don't have it anyway yet, and you might get it. So I think that that's another lesson just in achieving, ask for help. Not because you're weak, but because you want to remain strong. Ask, hey, can you help me? Would you please? Or do you have an idea? Is your idea better than mine? Great. Maybe we can partner. Just being able, how can I help you? That kind of thing. Asking those questions can really, I could talk forever, but I hope this is, that you find this
is
valuable.
Brilliant. Celeste, there's one question here saying that, how do you get over the roadblock of I'm too busy to do this right now mentality?
Okay, too busy for yourself or someone is asking you to do something? I'm not sure what the difference, I'll adjust them both. We all are busy, and we all have the exact same amount of minutes and hours in the day. So that's the first, is recognize that. It comes down to a choice. How do we want to use our time? And some choices are difficult. I usually, when I talk about, choosing, and I said, how many have children? Yeah, how many? No, you don't have to take care of them. And they say, oh, yes, we do. Well, you don't really. You should, but you don't have to, because everything is a choice. That's the point I was making. So when it comes down to being busy, I know busy, double hands up, and I know busy, but at some point you have to decide what the priorities is. And I would say the best answer to you, the succinct answer would be prioritize, 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 prioritize. When you understand your beliefs, when I went back to the mental blueprint, which are your beliefs and values, if you understand what those are, which is really why it's critical. If you're clear, this, and this are my top priorities and what's important to me, what I believe, my values, and when other opportunities or situation comes up and it doesn't fit there, it's an easy way to say no, because it doesn't fit where you see yourself or where you want to go. And you got to say no. You have to learn how to say no. And there's a whole session on learning how to say no. So not only just saying no with a reason, no with another option that you make available to others. If someone is asking you to do something and you're too busy, you don't have the time to do it. You may want to do it. It may be a good thing, but you can't do everything and sustain life, because you'll burn yourself out, and then you're no good for anyone. So I think it's prioritizing, making choices, and sometimes they're difficult choices. And sometimes the people that you're saying no to, which could be yourself, may not be happy about it. But if it's consistent, if it's authentic to you, you will be happy and they will appreciate it. And one last thing I'll say, if it's someone else asking you and you're on the fence and you don't want to offend them or don't want to say no, tell them no first, right away, because sometimes it's really not that much of an issue. They just need to know if you can do it or not. And if you drag them along, they're thinking it's a yes and you're thinking it's a no, and they haven't found an option. Give them the no up front and hopefully they can go find another way or another person that can do it for you. So that's another tip for you as well.
I think that's really useful, Celeste, because that is actually talking about communication. Communication has always been a key. It's okay to say no, because sometimes we feel obliged that we have to say yes.
Right.
But it's okay to say no sometimes. So that
sometimes
you can focus
it's best
on
to say no. When you say no to some things, you're saying yes to other things. I love that phrase as a reminder. You say no to these busyness. It says yes to a bubble bath. It says no to running around on committee number 49, and yes to getting some sleep that your body needs so that you're rested and you look youthful and young and not, haggard. Okay.
That's brilliant. There's a comment here saying, ask for help not because you're weak, but because you want to remain strong. So love that so much. Great shift in perspective. And there's so many people right now who need that courage to ask for help. So that's a comment coming. So thank you, Celeste, for that.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you so much. That's a blessing. So yes, well, I am glad. I don't want to keep you. I know it's Saturday. I'm honored to have this opportunity. I know it's later there. What time is it? 8 or something?
It's late. 6 o'clock, just past 6:15.
Right. Well, we're in the beginning of our day here. Saturday, it's 10 here, but I really want you to just go for clarity on what God has called you to be, and whatever you believe, however that is. But I think we all came with a purpose, and we have unique gifts and talents, and that's wonderful. I'm glad they're different. Find out what yours is, what your strength is. One part of this whole thing, 100,000 Voices of Hope, is it's two-pronged. It's helping people to be clear what their gifts are and what their assignment is. I say be in alignment with your assignment. And so I help drill down those kind of things. What are your values? What do you believe? Where are you gapping? And then once you do that, you can't, because Les often says you can't give from an empty wagon. You have to fill yourself up first. And then you're able, out of your overflow, to infuse and instill hope in other people. And that fuels back into you, because they say you can't sprinkle a perfume on someone without getting some on yourself. When you give to others, it comes back to you. So it's a combination. I'm really excited about it. But again, whether you opt to join us or just do something on your own, just operating in your best self, your authentic self, and living that way. So at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, you've lived out, you die empty, right? And that's one thing, is like live full and die empty. So do all you can and then have nothing left when it's time for you to go. That means you've done everything.
Amazing. Again, off the back of that, I want to encourage everyone, because we've spoken about this, the next project that you have, which is Hope for 100,000 Voices. And I highly encourage everyone here to check it out, sign up for this, because it has everything in it. It's about giving more and more and more. They say the act of or the process of receiving starts with giving.
It does.
So that in itself, I would encourage everyone to get involved, because it's an amazing thing to be involved in.
Yeah, so you start by giving to yourself, and then you give to others. And so you've got my email is celeste@celestejonson.com, or go to the website, get that free download, enjoy it, just enjoy that. And if you want to participate, just let me know, and I'll make sure I send you appropriate information, and we'll go from there.
Thank you so much. Celeste, just before we go, I'm going to be cheeky here. Is there time for a quick song from you? You can say no. That's okay. It's okay to say
absolutely. No, I'm going to sing the song. I will. And actually, this one I'll just do a little bit of it. It's a song that when I travel with Les, every time we are out together, every time he speaks, and I speak, but when he finishes speaking, he always calls me up to sing the song. And it came from a play that I did years and years ago. And I'm actually going to record it at some point. I keep saying that. I've gotten permission to do it, but it's called Live Every Day. And so I'll just give you a piece of it. Dream, you've got to keep dreaming. When your problems get you down, don't you drown in reality. Oh, live. You've got to keep living. Keep your eye on a star, no matter how far it seems. Live every day. And it goes on. Anyway, it's cute. Live every day. I will send you, if you send me your email, I'll send you a version of it, me singing the whole song with the music and all of that. It empowers me, and it makes me happy. It makes Ona, speaking of Ona, Les's daughter, every time I sing it, and she's there, she cries. every time. Like, she knows the song. She's heard it millions of times. But she says, I just cry. She cries every time. But if you send me
I've got tears already.
It's a beautiful song. And it was years and years ago when I first sang it. And so it's very appropriate for now. But so.
Thank you so much, Celeste. Just a quick one. There's a question here about the link. The link, can you please share the link?
The link for my email. Just send it to my email, because I'm actually going to be this afternoon. I'm finishing up a site. It's going to be a site for this, for the 100,000 Voices of Hope. And I've done all these other pieces. So I'm going to finish the site this weekend, like today. But if you send me a note, I will send you the link to the site, if that's what you're asking for. Just Celeste@CelesteJonson.com is my email, or you can go to the website and, put it in there. I get it either way. But if that's what you're asking for, the link for that.
Yeah. I think so.
But it's going to be, I know what it's going to be. It's going to be voicesofhopeinaction.com. I already have the domain. I just need to hook it up. voicesinaction.com. Spell it out. voicesinaction.com is what it is. And that's what's going to be.
Okay.
But yeah. So yeah, I'm excited. I thank you so much. Everybody's attention. God bless you, really. And just keep looking up, pressing forward, dare to succeed despite the odds.
Thank you so much, Celeste. Again, thank you so much for everyone who have taken the time out this morning. Like Celeste says, you've taken a big step in changing in the right direction. And I'm going to end today with something that I always say in all of the webinars that I do, which is something from Les, which I heard in Dubai when he came here with yourself and Una. He says, wherever you are in life, you've made an appointment to be there. So the fact that everyone's here today to make this appointment, I know it's completely different time zones, but you've taken this 1 hour, just over an hour, and you've taken this appointment. So I applaud you for taking that time, because it's an amazing big step in your life, hopefully. So thank you again, Celeste. Thank you, everyone.
Welcome.
I'm going to end today. So again, keep in touch with Celeste Celeste@celestejonson.com. And also, I think we'll do a follow-up email with just to kind of make sure that everyone gets all the information that they need and content that they can contact Celeste on after this. Okay.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys. Have a great one.
Thank you. God bless, and take care, everyone.